Hey everyone, I am Ashton Record. I am Mrs. Record's stepson. It's good to be speaking with you today. I heard from her that you all are a little bit curious about finance and investing, and I want to talk a little bit about that with you. I work in finance. Just to be clear, this is not in any way a video where I am giving you any advice. This is just educational, and I'm speaking on behalf of me, not on my firm. Just had to get that out of the way. So, just asking the question of whether or not to invest, how to invest, what even is it, you're way ahead of the curve. You're ahead of everyone your age, and also most people who are like 45 plus. I bet half the teachers at SHS probably aren't even thinking about this. So this is a great question to be asking. Let's start talking about why we invest, like what's going on. If you invested right now $1 today, by the time you retire at 65, that dollar will be worth approximately like $90, right? Which is crazy growth. And the older you get, the less that growth will be there for you, right? It just, the time, opportunity of it all really matters. So starting now, even if it's only, $20 a month, is going to be a huge difference maker when it becomes important to you. But why and how? How does this all work? Basically, I want you to imagine that like $1 or a paycheck, it's like a plant, right? But it's a plant that doesn't grow unless it gets sunlight, but also won't die, right? So if you take this plant and you put it in a room without sunlight, just a normal bank account, what's gonna happen is that sunlight will hit all the other plants and it'll keep growing and growing and growing, but your plant will stay the same. That means in 50 years, when you take that money out, you won't be able to compete with all the other plants. You'll have lost that ability to grow. That sun, that's inflation, right? Money, there's more and more and more and more of it, but you still have the same amount of it, which means you've lost the opportunity to match. How do we match? We get our plant sunlight, and that's what we call investing. But at your age, there's a couple different ways to invest, and it probably doesn't make any sense. Let's talk about different ways to invest, right? You've probably all heard about crypto and different things like that, but there's really only a few accounts you should think about and a few types of investments. There's stocks, and there's bonds. Stocks are a little bit of ownership of a company, right? If I buy a share of Google, which is a lot of money, I own one little sliver of the company. And at any point, I could sell that sliver. And if Google as a company is more valuable than it was, I'll make a little bit of money, right? But it's an asset. It grows over time. There's also bonds. Bonds are basically an IOU. I'm going to say, hey, I am going to buy a bond. That means I will give this company $1,000, but they're going to pay me interest every couple months or a year until they also pay me back the full bond, right? So I will be getting maybe 8% of $1,000. That's $80 a year until they pay me back the full $1,000. At the end, I will have made like $1,200, maybe $1,300. It's a very steady, safe way of investing, right? So those are generally the two main types. One is a sliver of ownership, one is an IOU. You're basically acting as a lender. But where are we getting these? How are we investing? There's a couple different types of accounts. The first type of account is an individual brokerage account. There's no tax advantage to this account, but it's also the best way to just kind of get into the weeds of investing, right? It allows you to buy stocks and bonds and different sorts of things like that. I recommend everyone have one. Just to try things out. It's a great place to save money besides your retirement accounts. Now, I know retirement seems like it's really far away, but so did graduating high school. And guess what? You're about to do that. It's exciting. It's scary. So is all of life. The best way to be prepared for life is to prepare. So we want to think about retirement accounts, right? You've all probably heard this term and have no idea what it is. It's hard. It's weird. 401k. What does that mean? Basically, a 401k is a workplace account. It's from your work, and they will, along with you putting a little bit of your paycheck in there, generally most workplaces will match your amount, right? Maybe 4% of your salary, 7%, they'll put in a little extra too. The whole point is that you're not taxed on any money you put in there. It's pre-tax, gross tax free. When you do take it out, you'll get taxed on it, but you won't have to pay taxes way back when. And when you take it out, you'll be taxed at the bracket you are when you retire, which is generally far lower than when you're earning money. It's a really sneaky good way to make money there. So that's a 401k, but it's a workplace plan. You need a job to do it. That's where the traditional IRA comes into play. Same idea, but you can open it up. IRA stands for Individual Retirement Account, right? So you're going to use this in the same way you would a 401k. It's pre-tax dollars. You have not paid taxes on it yet. When you take it out, you will pay taxes on it. Makes sense? Growing tax-free. But the creme de la creme, especially at our age as we're younger, is this right here, the Roth IRA. Sounds weird. It is weird. It's interesting. Roth Individual Retirement Account. What is a Roth? Basically, you're going to be able to take post-tax dollars. You've already been taxed on it and invest them into there. That means when you take it out after you retire, you don't have to pay any taxes on it. It's tax-free growth completely. It's a hack. It's a great way to make money. Now, there are contribution limits and salary limits, which is another reason at your age it's so important to have a Roth. You're not going to be over the salary threshold unless you get really, really lucky these next few years. You're also probably not going to contribute the $7,000 a year you could contribute legally, but that's okay. Even $20 a year, you won't have to pay taxes on that when you take it out. When it's, what's 20 times 90? That's what it will be. So basically, I really think a Roth IRA is a great thing to consider. It's post-tax dollars, tax-free growth. Great way to do that. Now, you have to wait until 59 and a half to take money out of any of those accounts, unless you have some sort of exception. We're not going to go into the weeds there. Just have that in the back of your head. That's where that individual brokerage account comes in, right? You still want to be investing. You still want to let your money grow, but you might need it at 40 or 35 or even 25. That's where you're going to do that. If you have further questions, I'd love to talk about it with you. Ask Miss Record for any information. Yeah, Miss Record.
How do we open a Roth IRA?
Yeah, that's a great question. How do you open one of these? Got to be 18, right? So once you're 18, go ahead and look up any broker dealer, which is those big firms, right? Fidelity, Charles Schwab, anything else like that. You've seen commercials for half of them, right?
What about online? Is that safe?
Of course.
Like
I recommend looking up just one of the bigger firms, right? So Charles Schwab, Fidelity, Vanguard, one of those. Okay. You can pick and choose, but those are generally the best places to do it. Maybe an Edward Jones, something like that. And then from there, on those websites, you'll be able to just go in, say open an account. It'll ask you some questions about like who you are, make sure that you provide your identification. It will ask for pertinent details like social security number. That's why it's very important to make sure this is what you're actually looking at, that it's correct. But once you're in there, it's pretty fast and easy to set it up and start funding it from there. And you'll be able to link direct deposit like you could to a normal bank account.
Because it's only the money that I make that I can put in. I can't or I match or meet rather the 7,000. Like that's where it's capped per year.
Yes.
For a Roth.
Yeah, so for the Roth, it's only that 7,000. Same with the traditional. Now, with the 401k, it's a little different, but that's also, remember, related to your workplace. There are no such things for things like the individual brokerage account. That's a whole other story. You can also open that online, too. Any other questions, Mrs. Record?
Yes. So with the Roth, it's easy to open, and I can start I can start putting money in as long as I have a job. You're right. And then, the only other question was, if I'm under 18, I can have my parent do it with me.
So yeah, if you're under 18, you can open what we call a youth account. Some of you may also have universal transfer to minors or universal gift to minor accounts. Both of those are going to be a little bit more limited and a little different. It really is at 18, we're going to get these sorts of things available to us, right, in our name. Now, your parents may have started an account and might transfer it to you. That's always up to par depending on the firm you're going through. But really, you want to wait until 18 to get this going.
Yay.
All right. Well, it's been good talking with you all. Good luck. Happy graduation coming up for most of you, and happy trails. Okay, we'll update on the Roth IRA. Make sure we get this down pat. What I want you to think about here is it's just like that traditional IRA, except with the Roth, it is post-tax dollars. And that's a huge deal because when you do take it out way down the line, right, when you're retired, there's no taxes at all. It grows truly tax-free. I mean, it's such a hack. And at your age, it's ideal because there are both contribution limits $7,000 a year for people your age, but also salary limits. So if you're taking in a certain amount of money, this is no longer on the table. You can't even use this. So it's perfect right now to start saving for retirement. Couple notes. Number one, like we said, post-tax dollars. It has to be your post-tax dollars. You have to earn it from a job, which means you need proof of payment, right? Something like a W-2 or a 1099. Those are forms that we all hate, but they're important to understand that they basically just are pay stubs and show you that you did make some money, right? So you need to submit one of those to open up a Roth. Once you do that, though, you'll be able to contribute money you've made there, and it will just grow tax-free for you, right? And you can just invest it in stocks or bonds like we talked about and watch it grow, which is just fantastic for anything you're looking for when it comes to like, how do I start saving for retirement? Roth is the place to start. Yeah, Miss Record.
I have a question. If I get like money from my grandparents for my birthday, can I put that money in my Roth?
Yeah, so money for your grandparents' birthday, any of that money, great money to put maybe that individual brokerage account, something like that. For the Roth specifically, it has to be money you made from a job that you can prove with a tax form, right? So let's think about like, hey, I love babysitting, right? I love working for like a lobster guy, but they pay me in cash. That's not going to work because they're not filing taxes for that. Ideal, right? Because you don't lose any of that money. Great way to make some money on the side, especially at your age. But you won't be able to invest that into a retirement account because you can't prove that came from place of employment.
Okay. So I have another question.
Yeah, please, Mr. Record.
If, let's say I put money in a Roth and then I have like an emergency.
Yeah.
Or I want to use it for like grad school. Can I do that or do I get penalized?
So there's some exceptions. Now I won't go into them here. So sometimes, yes, you can take money out early from like a Roth or a traditional IRA or a 401k. However, generally there is a penalty before 59 and a half for taking money out. So don't bank on it. If you are in a pinch, think about it. Talk to someone about it. Do some research, but never plan to take money out early of those retirement accounts. That's why you open up that individual brokerage and you start funding that too.
So the penalty is money, right? I have to pay money to get my
Yes,
money.
the penalty is some of that money you take out, you lose, right? And like with a Roth, you wouldn't be taxed on it, but you would lose it to a penalty. With something like a traditional or a 401k, you would actually end up both being taxed on it and getting penalized on it. So no good, not ideal.
What do you think about high yield savings account? Would that be a good place to put money for grad school?
Definitely not a bad place. I think there's definitely ways to get higher returns than a high yield savings account. But if you don't really want to monitor it, it's not a bad place to put it. Another great idea is a mutual fund or in ETF, right? So these are two different ways of basically having someone else do a bunch of different investing and you just pay them to invest all your money, right? So a mutual fund is basically a company where they will take a bunch of money from a lot of different investors, take all that money and buy different stocks and bonds and different things like that. They manage it and you just get the profit from all those investments. So that's a great way. If you don't want to think about it and you just want to have somebody else do it, do a mutual fund.
But I have to pay them.
A little bit. You won't really notice it. It's just out of the profits.
Do I have to pay someone for a Roth IRA?
You do not.
Okay.
You do not.
Cool. All right. Yay. Thank you.
Of course. Glad to help you all.